Meghan would be throwing a strop over the fact that William's there with Taylor Swift, and she isn't. The trouble with Harry is he'll always find something to complain about. William's got a lot more on his mind at the moment than repairing the troubles with his own brother. He's got his wife to look after. Charlotte, with the three of them together, Charlotte's the one who rules that nest. Make no mistake about it.
Hello, I'm Matt Wilkinson and welcome to our Royal Exclusive show. With me today is former Royal correspondent Charles Ray. Charles, welcome back by popular demand. This is your second time on the show.
Well, I kept ringing the number and everything else to push up the figures, but it's nice to be back and thanks for inviting me.
Excellent. Well, let's get started. Princess Anne. Now, every week I'm on this show and when people are very glowing about Princess Anne, about how hard-working she is and what a vital, member of the royal family is. But we've had a bit of a health crisis this week.
We have.
She was rushed to hospital. Mystery kind of surrounds exactly what happened, but it was an incident with a horse and she had concussion and minor injuries. And we now know that she is out of hospital and she's going to rest and recuperate back home at Gatcombe Park. We've had a lot of sickness this year, Charlie. How worried should we be about Princess Anne?
I don't think we should be too worried about Princess Anne because she's now out of hospital, and as you quite rightly say, she's going to be recuperating, at home. The worry was at the beginning when they were telling us that she'd lost her memory temporarily. Any head injury is a worry. Tim
Lawrence did go in, and I think he had a little blue badge.
Yeah.
And he said a couple of treats from home. What do you think that? Could you imagine what kind of things that he may have brought in for Anne to cheer up in hospital?
I was wondering whether any of it might have been alcohol, but of course that wouldn't have been allowed. So I don't know what was in the blue bag, but clearly it may well have been things. Doesn't necessarily mean, when we say treats, doesn't necessarily mean it's either food or drink of some description, but it could well have been. We just don't know, and we'll never find out.
We'll never find out. One person who was back on their feet spectacularly was Prince William. Did you appreciate his dad dancing at the Taylor Swift concert?
I thought he was fantastic. I really thought it was a great escape for him, given what he's had to do and what he's having to deal with, and I think it was really great to see him with George and Charlotte. It was especially great as well at the selfies that came out after from Taylor Swift, and obviously her boyfriend was very enamoured with young Charlotte because she was the one who seemed to be asking, all the questions. It just goes to show that Charlotte, with the three of them together, Charlotte's the one who rules that nest. Make no mistake about it.
I'm not going to argue with that. That's the impression I get. I was speaking to some people close to the Waleses, and they were saying yes, they do listen to Taylor Swift at home.
I'm sure.
And that Charlotte particularly Charlotte and George were completely awestruck by Taylor Swift.
Well, they would have been, and let's not forget as well, I think it was a couple of years ago that Taylor Swift actually literally dragged Prince William up onto the stage to sing Living on a Prayer with John Bon Jovi. How's that for a night out, So, they are friendly as well. I'm not saying they ring each other up every week or whatever, but they do know each other. And it was great to see them enjoying themselves so much, as were the many, many thousands in that audience.
Well, yeah, it was a cultural event, really, for so many people to watch it. So it was William's 42nd birthday, that's why they went, so he'd taken there. But the Princess of Wales and Louis stayed at home. Sensible?
I think sensible in the case of Louis, because I think he's unpredictable at the moment, given his age. I can understand why Catherine didn't go, because she's still recovering, and I think she's rightly so pacing herself at the moment. We saw her at the Tripping the Colour, which was fantastic. She looked absolutely sensational. It was nice to see her back again. But I think it was the right decision that those two stayed away. And I'm sure Louis didn't miss out too much.
There is a theory, and I'm not a Swiftie, or that's what they call their fans, or anything like that, but there is a theory kind of doing the rounds that Louis may well be upset that he didn't go. And bear with me on this, and that this could lead to some kind of Harry and William-esque, Spare-esque kind of complaint from Louis that he feels left out as he gets older. This is some of the debate that's going around within the forums.
Aren't they a bit young yet to just fall out with each other over something so literally petty? I don't know. It's hard to imagine. I think Louis will have his day. We will. I mean, the people who will be doing our job in the future will be writing an awful lot about young Louis. I would put money on that.
Well, I know because Harry had so many petty complaints in Spare about having a smaller bedroom than his older brother and stuff like that.
Yeah, but we never saw those complaints before Spare, really. You know, the Harry that I was writing about was a different Harry to the one that you're writing about. So yeah, I mean, the trouble with Harry is he'll always find something to complain about.
What do you make of? So obviously, it was Taylor Swift and her boyfriend Travis. Kelsey was obviously in the picture. It's quite rare, apparently. Again, I'm learning all these things about Swift. He used to appear in the picture. But did you see the comments he made on the podcast? He's quite a sweary man.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, he had said, I think that, with his brother, they had said F royalty.
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, they appear completely starstruck and enamoured with William. I mean, some of the comments, he was so complimentary about William. He was blown away by William.
Well, the thing is, and it happened to me when I first met a member of the royal family as well, is that when you meet a member of the royal family, you are in effect meeting a AAA celebrity. And it blows you, believe me, it does blow you away. And I'm not surprised that Travis was, blown away and came out with those sort of comments. And I think as well, it's a sign of the new modern royal family where they don't mind people taking selfies. I mean, one of the complaints of the late Queen was that she couldn't really see the faces of people anymore as she did a walkabout because they were all holding up their phones and flashes were going off and everything else. But she was obviously of a different age. But now it is now common practice. Everybody's got a mobile phone. Everybody's got a camera on it, and nothing is really private anymore.
No. Did you the comments from Travis? If I can read them out. We may need to get the bleeping machine to, or I'll see how I say it. He said Prince William was the coolest mother F word.
Yeah.
They were an absolute delight to me. And he says Charlotte was effing adorable and a superstar.
Yeah.
And I spoke to people at the palace and they were like, well, yes, they swore, but this is positive, isn't it? I mean, would the royals normally be offended by that?
I don't think William would be offended at all. I mean, everything that Travis was saying was a positive thing about him, about William, and about Catherine. Yeah. And I just think this is what happens when they now meet royalty, because now you don't just meet royalty, you actually get selfies with them. So you've got this record of it as well. And if you've got people like one of the best singers in the world taking selfies, Taylor Swift, and that is a big accolade for her and shows her friendship to William.
You mentioned about her friendship with William. You're right, they did a karaoke. He got dragged up on stage to do John Bon Jovi Living on a Prayer, so they've got history. But Taylor Swift, we're told, was invited onto the Duchess of Sussex's podcast, Archetypes, a couple of years ago, and she turned it down. There's going to be some angry eyes from California seeing about this relationship between the Waleses and Taylor Swift.
What we don't know is the reason why Taylor Swift decided not to go into that podcast. It could be for a number of reasons, although I suspect that, Taylor Swift's not a daft lady. I mean, she knows what the score is and everything else, and she could see what's happening. But you're right, I think, Meghan would be throwing a strop over the fact that William's there with Taylor Swift and she isn't. I mean, Meghan throws out these invites to all sorts of various people. They don't all take up those. Don't all take up the invite.
Don't go anywhere. There's plenty more coming up.
But William's got a lot more on his mind at the moment than repairing the troubles with his own brother. He's got his wife to look after. I think it's down to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex to make the first move. Whether or not it would be accepted by William and Catherine, I doubt very much it would be.
Just a quick word on the Princess of Wales. Obviously, she didn't make She didn't make the concert for kind of obvious reasons. It's a long old evening. We did see her at Trooping. I think we both agreed she was fantastic and it was brilliant to see her. We are asked by the Palace not to speculate on when we might see her next, but there have been people at Wimbledon who are saying that they are hoping that the Princess of Wales might turn up to present some awards. She does it every year. She has done for the last 8 or 9 years. She loves attending Wimbledon. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, she loves attending the ceremony the week before Trooping the Colour as well, where she's Colonel-in-Chief, and she didn't do it, sent them a very nice letter explaining why she couldn't do it. I think the people at Wimbledon would love to have Catherine back there again because it will boost the viewing audience and it'll boost people being there. The problem with it is that when we first found out about her cancer, various people were putting dates on about when she was due to come back. She was going to be back in late April. She was going to be back after, for Trooping. She was going to be back for whatever. We just don't know when she is going to be back. It would be nice to think that she could at least make, 1 or 2 days at Wimbledon. But if she doesn't, well, then we'll just have to be patient because I'm hopefully she'll be back one day.
Well, they were talking a couple of weeks ago. They were saying, well, her doctors, her medical team say that she needs to be doing things that she finds fun. So part of her recovery is to do things that she enjoys. So it's taken, doing, being with the children, doing family things at home and stuff like that. And I have to say, they keep asking us not to speculate.
No.
But not
it's
to put
hard,
any pressure on her.
It's
it
hard.
really is because it's kind of our job to not put too much pressure on her. But the Wimbledon have kind of set the, set the hair running by saying that they want her to appear. So I think we'll have to wait.
Didn't the army get ticked off at the start by saying that she was going to turn up to one of either the event before or Trooping the Colour? And the Palace weren't very happy with them, at that point speculating. But maybe they had some insider knowledge, just a bit like the Tory party, really.
Another thing the Princess of Wales has missed was the state visit.
Yeah,
I quite enjoyed the state visit. I've been to many outgoing state visits where the King and Queen have gone abroad. This was an incoming state visit from the Japanese Emperor and Empress, who were very close to the late Queen and are very close to King Charles.
Yes, they are, and the Emperor especially. Well, they both spent time at Oxford for a start off, to continue their education. But the Emperor, went fly fishing with the King when he was Prince of Wales and admitted that he never caught a thing that day. He's been carriage driving with Prince Philip and he's been to a barbecue with the late Queen. Now, those are the 2 or 3 things that we know that they were linked with, but I'm sure there was a lot more. And I think the old Emperor, well, he's not so old, I think the Emperor enjoyed, being there. And when they were having the walk round with inspecting the troops, the honour guard, you could just see the smiles on both the Emperor's face and the King's face. Yeah, no, it's very, very good.
Well, why are state visits important? There's a lot of pomp and ceremony, and they're a bit distant maybe from members of the public and people watching it. Is it important? Is it politics at play here? Why is it vital? Why do we have so many?
Well, I think we have state visits and we make state visits because it enhances diplomacy between two countries. And it leads to, or it should lead to a trade involvement. We get some stuff from them, they get some stuff from us. You have to remember that although all we see is the pomp and ceremony that goes on, but behind the scenes, he's got a whole team of advisors dealing with their opposite numbers in this country. And it's the same when we go abroad. We go abroad and we take a whole team in the hope that we can enhance stuff for Britain. So from that point of view, it's very, very important.
It's the soft power, isn't it?
It is the soft power, but it has in the past given some good things for the country and given our trade to and fro an excellent boost.
I'm assuming that you must have been on many state visits, incoming and outgoing. Both world leaders coming here, but also the late Queen or going abroad. I mean, is there any examples that you think of where they've had a diplomatic success or anything that's really worked really well?
Well, ironically, during the Cold War in 1967, officials asked the Duke of Edinburgh how he felt about making a state visit to Russia. And he said, yeah, I don't mind, I'd like very much to go to Russia, although the B word murdered half my family. So that was his initial expression. He and Princess Anne then went to an equestrian event in Kyiv in 1973. And then you roll on to 1994, and Prince Charles, as he was then, made a visit to Moscow. And then the big one came later that year. The Queen visited Russia. First monarch and only monarch of this of our country to visit Russia. Clearly, there's not going to be another visit in the very near future. But that was a marvellous trip with the Queen. I mean, it was just, she was feted, the thousands and thousands of people in the street trying to see her, streets were closed and everything else. So I think she felt, and she told people that that was probably the most important state visit that she ever made, purely because it was Russia.
One of the most interesting aspects of the Japanese state visit I found was the Japanese emperor going to see the late Queen's final resting place. This is quite a rare event. I think Prince Harry maybe went last year and had private time. And
yes.
Because she's in the royal vault. If you're a tourist, you go into the chapel at Windsor Castle and you can peer through to her ledger with her name on. He got some private time there and laid some flowers. I'm fascinated by that because that could become a pilgrimage for other world leaders now. What's your thoughts?
I'm not so sure if it would become a pilgrimage for other world leaders. I think there was a special case for the emperor because he knew the late Queen very, very well, and as he's described the royal family as his second family. So I think that was something special, purely for him. And it could well, but maybe that future state visits will involve the visiting head of state visiting the late Queen. It's hard to really work that out.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. I mean,
yeah,
I
it'd
just
be nice.
wonder. I just think
it would be nice to see it, especially if it's someone that she herself had met before, that they were given that right or that accolade to go and pay their respects to the late Queen.
Yeah, it can't become gaudy. It can't become like a novel. Can't become like a gimmick where every world leader comes. And
I don't think
time.
there was any pictures or anything. I don't think there was any.
No, it was private. It was private.
Yeah.
We laid flowers on there, and I just thought it was a.
Yeah, it was a nice gesture.
Yeah, I can see how it pans out in the future. We mentioned Prince Harry who went to the late Queen's, which was a final resting place. But we've seen him this week for the first time in weeks, if not months. What did you make of that? He did a little, it was quite a nice, worthy chat with the charity that he's quite close to, talking about something quite close to his heart, which is grievance and loss.
Yes, it was nice. That's Scotty's Little Soldiers, isn't it? That's the charity that helps the children of any military personnel who die in action. And that is a charity that's very, very close to his heart. And yes, he was involved in talks with the organisers as well as some of the children, talking about bereavement and grief. And Harry has, as we know, has talked about his grief over his late mother, although she wasn't in effect a military personnel. But it's still, whether you're a military or whether you're not a military, the loss of a parent like that is devastating and traumatic on anybody, especially when they're so young. But no, it was nice to see him doing something, I'm not trying to be churlish, doing something worthwhile for a change.
Yeah, 100%. How do you think, in your experience, obviously you knew him, or you reported on him when he was much younger for many, many years. He seems to be engulfed by the grief. It's something that he brings up a lot. How do you think that he's been coping? How do you think he's coped with the death of his mother after all these years?
Well, clearly he hasn't coped with the death of his mother, whereas William, has. And again, I don't want to pit brother against brother and tick off something that has. But I don't know why Harry did not seek more help, professional help. Maybe he did, but it didn't work. But I just find that he's continually knocking on about, his late mother, the way she was. He's clearly not got over it. And again, I'm not just I'm not saying it's something you do get over, but you should be able to work within, you know, what has gone on and not let it rule your life. He seems to have let it rule his life.
They do. I mean, they do have different approaches to the late mother, don't they? I mean, William is vocal, it appears, when he needs to be, and Harry often, you know, brings up how he has had to cope, or how he has the coping mechanisms that he's used to, you know, to deal with the death of his mother. So
I don't think magic mushrooms was a great idea, you know, to try and help out in some of the other things that he's tried allegedly as well. Whereas William didn't go down, as far as we know, did not go down that route. So maybe that didn't help in his ability to try to get a little bit of over it a little.
Stay tuned. There's still loads more to come on the rest of the show.
They're going to be stuck out in Montecito or whatever the next place that they live in. From what we're hearing, Harry's hankering a little bit for his former life.
Let's just have a quick word on the brothers. I'm going to say it's well documented. They don't talk, all right, for, you know, for X amount. I don't think there is any way back. But there was a really, I'm going to read a quote to you. That there was a really interesting insider, a Sussex insider comment that was reacting to a story on the Sun website, which was talking about whether the Sussexes or the Waleses should make the first move to, you know, to attempt to reconcile. And there's a quote from a Sussex insider, and I just wanted to get your reaction to it. And from the Sussex insider, or from an insider in California, I must express that this perspective, the perspective of Harry and Meghan should make the first move, is somewhat one-sided. For the sake of balanced reporting, it is important to acknowledge that relationships are reciprocal. It would not be entirely fair to place the sole responsibility of mending the relationship on the Duke and Duchess. What do you think?
Well, I think it's down to the Duke and Duchess of Sussex to make the first move. Whether or not it would be accepted by William and Catherine, I doubt very much it would be. There's too much water now gone under that bridge, and after everything that, you know, Harry and Meghan have done with the Oprah Winfrey interview, that Netflix show Spare, you know, the flamboyant, you know, curtsy by Meghan on the show as well. There's too much gone under the bridge now and if they're going to make the move, I'm not so sure that William and Catherine would respond favourably. William's got a lot more on his mind at the moment than repairing the troubles with his own brother. He's got his wife to look after and his 3 children. They are the most important things that are going on. And if Harry was that keen on making some sort of you know, move towards William, pity he didn't wish him a happy 42nd birthday.
No, we didn't hear anything.
Nothing.
Like that. Privately or publicly.
Yeah, privately or publicly. We heard nothing.
Yeah. Oh, it's kind of sad. I sometimes think it's sad, but they've made their bed. You know, Harry and Meghan have made their bed.
Any rift in any family is very, very sad. They are doing it in the full glare of publicity, and that's obviously 10 times worse than, you know, you falling out with your sister or brother or father or mother or whatever. But, you know, Harry's caused an awful lot of pain to various members of the royal family. His father, his brother, his sister-in-law. You know, it's not a great sight.
But from that quote, we get the impression that, you know, they're not going to do it unless someone else meets them in the middle, which is never going to happen.
No, I don't think it's ever going to happen, and I suspect that one of the driving forces in not making it happen is Meghan herself. I'm not trying to blame her for everything. I don't blame her for everything, but I don't think that things that she's doing help matters.
Fine. Let's try and finish on a more fun note,
sure.
Charlie, shall we? So I've got every week we have some quick fire fun questions at the end of the show. So I hope you're prepared for this. Okay. So dad dancing.
Yeah.
So after William's dad dancing, which member of the royal family do you think is the best dancer?
Well, it probably was the Queen when she was alive, because she was pictured in the various dances, and of course her dances were nothing like you know, William's whatever else. But I think Harry was quite a mover as well when he was fun. And I think Zara Tindall could do quite well.
I suppose it depends on the type of music.
It does, really, yes.
I think they say the late Queen would be an excellent dancer on a ballroom or stuff like that, but I could imagine Zara probably tearing up the dance floor in
most
a
of
nightclub with Mike.
most of them have had some sort of dance lessons when they were younger, and it's carried on. But you don't get lessons for dad dancing.
Yeah,
not at all.
It just comes to you naturally when you become a dad.
Yeah, just wave your hands around and all that sort of stuff. That's it.
Right, Wimbledon. We've got Wimbledon starting, as we touched on earlier, with the Princess of Wales maybe attending. So, if the royal family played mixed doubles, who would win? A team of Prince William and the Princess of Wales versus a team of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex?
Well, I would say that it would be William and Catherine, and I think that certainly Meghan would be taking a reaction from the John McEnroe playbook. She would be throwing her toys out of the pram.
And also the Princess of Wales, I've seen her play tennis. She
Yeah.
had a knockabout with Emma Raducanu a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I think she knows her stuff.
Oh, she does. I mean, we've seen, there's been lots of pictures and lots of footage of her playing tennis. She does know how to hit a ball with the racket.
And there would be some anger and fury there as well.
Yeah. I wonder how many aces we had hit straight in the head.
Talking of Harry and Meghan, where do you see Harry and Meghan in 10 years? So in 2034, where do you see their life?
Well, unfortunately, I can't see anything that's going to change their approach to things and anything else that would make them move on. The only thing that could happen is that there is some sort of rapprochement with the royal family. Unless they have that, they're going to be stuck out in Montecito or whatever the next place that they live in. From what we're hearing, Harry's hankering a little bit for his former life. That's what we keep on hearing about. But unless, and we've talked about this before, we know that Meghan is never going to come back to this country. She's made no attempts to come back, and she's had plenty of opportunity. The big sadness of all this is that the king has only met his grandchildren once, Lilibet, and Archie a handful of times. But think of poor old Thomas Markle. He's never even met them. All he sees is the odd picture in some magazine or other. It's not going to be great.
There are lots of casualties, aren't there?
There are, yeah.
All right, final question. So, if you could have been a fly on the wall at any royal historical moment, which would it have been and why? I
think I would have liked to have been a fly on the wall during the period of Queen Victoria and John Brown.
Wow, you're probably going back in history.
Yeah, you said historical.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just to know if they were just more than friends. I would really like to know, because he was a real gruff, tough Scot. I mean, who ruled the household. Yeah, sorry. Who ruled the household with a rod of iron. But the relationship between her and him, was it just master and servant, or was it very, very, very friendly?
It's depicted in that wonderful film as well.
It is, Mrs. Brown.
Yeah.
Now Billy Connolly and Judi Dench are just fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, what a good idea. So that's a great historical relationship that, that was very private.
It was very, very private.
We can only guess and surmise and
There's one scene in it, in that film where Billy Connolly as John Brown marches up into the hills, leaving the Queen, because he spotted somebody with a camera. And in those days, the cameras, they weren't like the ones we have now, but they're sort of like on tripods and everything else, so they're easily spotted. And he went up there and he lashed out at two or three of the then paparazzi. That was quite good fun.
Excellent. Well, listen, Charlie, it's been a pleasure as always, and I'm pretty sure we're going to have you back on again in the future if you can make time for us.
Oh, of course I can. It's been great to see you again, and best of luck with the programmes.
Excellent. Thanks, Charlie. Right, well, thanks so much for watching. If you like the show, please subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode.